Right. So we're talking about this because there's long been talks, I think, by in kind of the creatives community about how Chinese censorship in Hollywood is affecting the global creative industry. The reason is obvious, right? Because if you want to get into the Chinese market, you got to play by their rules.
I hate to say that, but I can remember like 10 years ago when I got interviewed with some Western media that when they asked how Taiwan can stop the infiltration from China, and because some of the people in the West, they learned that Taiwan's entertainment industry have been infiltrated by Chinese government or the influence from China. So a lot of content of you cannot your movie cannot about some contents that China don't like. So I can remember that by then I told them that it will not just Taiwan. It's not just our business. It will be more and more serious in the West as well. When I read the news about from the Pan America, the documents from them, the research from them, I feel like I told you. That's happening. And so I think some of the people might not know that those movies that they watch in the theater has already been censored or be re-edited just to please Chinese market. Issue based on your aesthetic for a better movie. It's not because you want to please some authoritarian regime. Then it will make your story looks very strange, like a Celtic sorcerer lives in Himalayas. If you really want to do that, you need to have a good reason, but they didn't tell any reason why it just happened, and you have to accept that. And for a comic book fan like me, I can't accept that. You have to convince me why a Celtic sorcerer not living in Scotland, not living in Ireland, but Himalayas, and dress like a Tibetan. Let me tell you, if we don't stop the infiltration from China, what will happen in the West 10 years later? I think in the first step, in the first stage, they censor your content of the movie. That's happened in Taiwan like 20 years ago.
Easy, done.
They don't really censor the actors, directors, what you have said in Taiwan or what, because they need Taiwan's talents and resources.
Step one is the content itself.
So step one, they try to get you to China, try to let you to get into Chinese market. They censor your content only. They don't really censor all your crew. And the next step, they will censor. Step two, they censor your crew. And
they go after the artists.
But they censor recent news only. So what you have said recently, blah, 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 and make sure that there is no crew who support Taiwanese independence, who support freedom of speech, who support Hong Kong, no. And then step three, they censor your life. So they try to trace what you have posted on your social media, on your Facebook, on your YouTube, on your Twitter, since the first day when you are using Facebook. So I know that some actors or singers, they from Taiwan, in order to get into Chinese market, they reset their account because some of Taiwanese actors, they will just remove some posts they post like 10 years ago. They try to censor themselves, trace back what they have saying.
You need to erase everything because
you don't know. But much easier way is to reset your account. Just remove yourself.
You also don't know what they will get you for 2 years later, so it's easier to just erase it all.
Just delete your account, reset one new one, get a new life for Chinese market.
Get a new identity too, right? You're no longer Taiwanese, you're now Chinese.
That's not happened in the US yet, but it might happen later.
Taiwan likes to compare itself with Korea a lot, with the rise of Korea tech, Korea entertainment, and Korean exports to the world using soft power, and always kind of looking in and say, what happened? We kind of started the same last century. How do we become so different? And one of the things that was discussed was, well, we also in Taiwan, we also try to export. It was just that we put a lot of our eggs in one basket called China, but we didn't realize the effect it was going to have, because once that market starts to create kind of controls that are beyond our control, it's not a free market anymore, then we're starting to see a fallout from this. Meanwhile, other cultures, they export to the world. Because of that, they get to develop a different sense of aesthetics, a different type of culture, and different type of influence and soft power.
When you export your music to other parts of the world, you have to compete with the free world that with diverse kinds of music. So you have to level up yourself. But when you export your music or your work to China, then you got censored by the government first.
Yeah.
And that's why you are lower. You are making you make your own works, your creativity to be censored, be controlled by the government, and that it doesn't increase your level, it just decrease.